Borderlands 4 releases on the 12th of September. Put it into perspective on how close we are to it, and this idea already almost failing. It's the 7th of September right now when I'm finally recording the intro of the video here. I wanted to have the Borderlands Trilogy under my belt before Borderlands 4 released. I thought it'd be a brilliant idea to try and complete the games, so I'm all up to scratch and ready for the 4th game. Hopefully, it's the best game, which is probably going to be very difficult for them to ever top Borderlands 2 because that's my favourite, even though I've only now played it twice. Now, if you've ever touched Borderlands, it's basically a looter shooter fever dream where every gun is randomly generated. The humour is pretty, I mean, it's wacky, that's for sure, and basically everything goes boom. And then you've got Claptrap.
Welcome to Firestone. I am CL4PTP. You may call me by my locally designated name, Claptrap.
Borderlands 1 is like a rough copy of a perfect game. I only played this game for the very first time, believe it or not, last year. This is my second playthrough of the game. I was able to speed through it, and this is why you'll see bosses like Nine Toes go down in a pinch. It's like the rough copy of a game that could be perfect, aka Borderlands 2. I love that game, I'm not gonna lie. Your Vault Hunters in this game that don't really speak whatsoever, and then you've got Claptrap waddling around all the time. He's kind of like, you know, one of them Roombas that kind of, you know, just waddle around. And then the other thing you've got with Borderlands 1, there was like a weird promise of there being like millions of guns, but in reality it's just the same gun over and over, just a little bit more weird, I guess is a way of describing it. Either way though, Borderlands 1 genuinely is an incredibly fun game, and if you've never played it somehow and Borderlands 4 is on your radar and you're picking it up, all I can suggest is to actually go back and play these Borderlands titles, because the originals are the best, genuinely. 1 and 2, as much as people may not like to play all the games, like myself sometimes, Borderlands 1 and 2 is where it's at. What are you doing?
I'm over here.
Yes, I know, I'm over here. Now, get a shift off. Go, man, go. The first time you get a legendary, it feels great, except for when you realise that it's actually already worse than the gun you're holding, as you can see from my reward of beating Nine Toes here. Speaking of Nine Toes, they're some of the best parts of the Borderlands series. You got the randomness of their title cards. Everyone gets a title card that's important in the Borderlands series. As you saw here, Dr. Zed. And while I speak of Dr. Zed, actually, the DLCs of these games are beautiful, except I had to miss out on those to be able to actually get through them, because my goodness, there are hours and hours of content in these games, and that is one thing I cannot fault the Borderlands series whatsoever, because there's just so much stuff to do and get lost in playing.
You will need to whittle down before you can hurt him. Don't let him touch you.
Oh, don't let him touch me.
Like you, Sledge kill thing he not like.
Well, I don't like you, Sledge.
Another notch on my way.
120 XP. That's it. Really? After hours and hours and hours of grinding through the game, especially if this was your first playthrough, if you were going for side quests and whatnot, it will take you hours to get through the game. You are met with your final boss basically being a big squid. The worst part is, he really doesn't give you a whole lot. You would expect the final boss to drop you an incredible gun, but the loop of the Borderlands games means grinding, so you don't get to the end of the game and just get the best thing. So it's a slight disappointment when it comes to beating the final boss. But in my playthrough, it took me around about 4 hours to get it, so it's not as bad of a trade-off.
You opened the vault.
So now we move over to Borderlands 2, where, as I mentioned, it's my favourite Borderlands game. Out of the little amount of time that I put into these games, the amount of content in this, especially on your first playthrough, if you've never played the Borderlands games, my god, this just has it all, really. I'm going to find it very difficult for anything Borderlands-wise to ever come close to Borderlands 2. The amount of things in this game, the amount of content, the amount of hours you can throw into it, the amount of grinding you can put into it if you like getting yourself guns and whatnot, there is so much in this game. And then not to mention the antagonist of the game, Handsome Jack, honestly, probably one of the best villains you could have in a gaming series. They kind of shot themselves in the foot with Handsome Jack because now everything really, to me anyway, is compared to Handsome Jack, and that's why 3 feels a bit of a letdown in comparison. One of the weirdest side quests in this game that makes you realise that they really didn't take themselves too seriously and they just wanted to have fun with what they were making was when you had to just shoot McShooty in the face. He just wanted you to shoot him in the face, and that was essentially the side quest. But Borderlands 2 really had a great story to it as well, and it was killing off characters that you just didn't want them to kill off. For example, one of the worst quests was Bloodwing having to get murked by Handsome Jack. Truly proven how evil of a man he is. He blew his head off. 2 is the peak of the series, and it just gets everything perfect. The chaos, the comedy of it. People find it cringe nowadays more than likely, but I grew up around this era of gaming, so it fits perfectly. Also to mention, Borderlands 2's final boss was a little more satisfying. It seemed a lot cooler of an ending for a game. You thought you were going to finish off by killing Handsome Jack, but then he turns into this behemoth, which I completely forgot that I was running a shotgun build, so it was pretty tricky on me to try and beat. Just like with Borderlands 1, this is how long it took me to beat Borderlands 2 in my quest to beat the trilogy ASAP. It took me around about 5 hours to beat, which I do not recommend rushing these games whatsoever. You need to thoroughly enjoy them, make the most of the side quests and all the grindiness and the loot to actually get the full enjoyment out of these games. But they are fun, even if you are speedrunning. As an extra side note, I didn't actually know if this was possible to beat these games as fast as I was doing. When you Google how long does it take for Borderlands 2 to be beaten on the second playthrough, Google reckons 30 hours still, which is wrong because I did it in 5 hours, so there you go. Then, after 7 long years, I didn't have to experience the 7 long years, Borderlands 3 released. In a weird way, Borderlands 3 is like a polished version of 2. If you like movement, you can bounce around a lot more. Even though while I was playing the game, I didn't really feel like I was moving very fast. The only thing that slide mechanics ever put into the game for me is like a fidget spinner. You're just clicking things to move and you just don't know what to do with your fingers, so you're sliding, you're jumping, you're sliding, you're jumping. That's all I was doing for the majority of this playthrough. Even though it's smoother, it's worse. For example, your main antagonist of the game is a pair of twins. When you compare them to Handsome Jack, it genuinely just feels like you're watching 2 streamers. You're trying to kill 2 streamers, pretty much. That's the way it feels like, and all they're doing the whole time is trying to get views, and they're asking you to sub to see more death. It's just a very strange thing. But then we learn later on in the game that they are the son of one of the first Vault Hunters, which kind of confused me a little bit what was going on. But then we kind of move on to the boss fights of the game, and they do seem in a way larger than life, I guess you could explain it. They do seem bigger, they feel pretty cool. One of the cool ones for me, which I don't know if many people would have actually caught on to, was Pain and Terror, which was Penn and Teller the Magicians. And I was very confused when I realized it was these pair, and I didn't understand why they were in the game, but it was a nice little piece, I guess, to people that know who they are. And just like the other 2 games, this is how long it took me to beat Borderlands 3. The difference being this was my first playthrough, so it was around about 20 hours in total that I played. The first 10 or so hours I didn't play on stream, so that is unaccounted for. But either way, the thing with the Borderlands series that they nail on the head each time is they're just a nice game to just hit your dopamine receptors. Blast enemies, it's a satisfying punch each time that they die. It's just a nice loop of gameplay that can't really be topped, except for Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2 really can't be topped. So after playing through the entire trilogy once again, my takeaway from it, genuinely, Borderlands 1 and 2 were some phenomenal games, and they honestly may not ever be topped from themselves, because 3 was a letdown, even though it was trying to push towards the modern era of gaming, I guess. Modern era doesn't mean better, is the thing nowadays. All that's left now, after beating the trilogy, is to actually see what Borderlands 4 has in store for us. They make the promises that it's going to be better as if they've addressed the problems in the room, but all we can do is see how it is. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope you enjoyed watching the video, and if you haven't already, I'm going to copy the Calypsos now. If you haven't already, please give the video a like, it'll help it out, and let me know what your favorite Borderlands was in the comments. I want to see if any of you really enjoyed 3 to the point that it was your favorite game. Thanks for watching. Bye.